Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Here at the live studios, Radha Lane, 3402, Houston, Texas. Zip code 77018, in case you want to send letters or packages or anything. It's a real address. Just down the street from Sri Sri Radha Nila Madhava's holy temple. The gorgeous, huge, gorgeous deities of Sri Sri Radha Nila Madhava. Okay. With the hardcore hearers today. Those who hear every day are very, very fortunate. I heard Srila Prabhupada say it, and I heard Gopi Pranadana Prabhu say it also, that to achieve the platform of being able to hear the Bhagavatam every day and like it is a rare stage already. And depending on how conditioned we are, it will take us a shorter time or a longer time to be able to hear it all the way through without argument. And to that degree, we become satisfied. So let's hear what Sanatana Goswami has to say about that, what the Srimad-Bhagavatam is. Srimad-Bhagavata Mahima Stotram. It goes like this. Sarva Shastabdipiyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidvan Dotitaditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshaksharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madgo Manahadana Mannishtadagamad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu saduta dayin adini jochata kara hanamunchagada chinmam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 All right, here we are, 5th canto, 14th chapter, beginning with text 31. We're going to be further enlightened by Jud Bharat about what this material world actually is, despite all the things that we think it is. We're going to get the absolute truth. Text 31. In this way, the descendants of the monkeys intermingle with each other, and they are generally known as Shudras. Without hesitating, they live and move freely not knowing the goal of life. They are captivated simply by seeing the faces of one another, which remind them of sense gratification. They are always engaged in material activities known as gramya karma, and they work hard for material benefit. Thus they forget completely that one day their small lifespans will be finished and they will be degraded in the evolutionary cycle. Purport. Materialistic people are sometimes called Shudras, or descendants of monkeys, due to their monkey-like intelligence. They do not care to know how the evolutionary process is taking place, nor are they eager to know what will happen after they finish their small human lifespan. This is the attitude of Shudras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, this Krishna consciousness movement, is trying to elevate Shudras to the Brahmana platform so that they will know the real goal of life. Unfortunately, being overly attached to sense gratification, materialists are not serious in helping this movement. Instead, some of them try to suppress it. Thus it is the business of monkeys to disturb the activities of the Brahmanas. Have you ever lived with monkeys? Any of you?
Yes.
Oh, we live with monkeys in Govardhan, big time. They're always, monkeys, they actually look for things to break. And not only that, if they come into your garden and they see one plant that is particularly beautiful or particularly nice, they'll go right to it. They'll skip everything else. They'll go right to it and just break it. That's why it's called monkey business. When we were refurbishing our ashram in Govardhan, we were in the process of laying down the marble in the temple room, and I was there overseeing every single piece of marble to make sure there was the gap in between the pieces of marble were as small as possible, and everything was completely pucka. So there was this one big male monkey. As a matter of fact, he was the head honcho of this tribe that used to live in ashram before we moved into it, because it was a derelict building. And Asit Krishna, who is now a Maharaj, but then he was assisting, and he once beat him with a stick because he was creating so much havoc, and he was sleeping on the stairway up to the thing. And usually devotees or anybody over there, they don't do something like that because they consider them some kind of, relatives of Hanuman or something, and they don't. But this way, he was creating so much, so he just gave him a good whack, and the monkey went screaming off, and he never came back. And then, when we were doing the marble, we were just in the process of polishing, and it looked so beautiful. The same monkey, from across the way, on the other side of the room, we couldn't go to him because of the way everything was set up. He came with a big handful of I don't know what. It didn't look very nice, whatever it was. And he looked me right in the eye, and he went like this, and he went.
Oh my God!
We couldn't do anything, and then he just ran away. We couldn't get. Oh, they know exactly what they're doing. Thus, it is the business of the monkeys to disturb the activities of the Brahmanas. Just to give a little backup information there. The descendants of monkeys completely forget that they have to die, and they are very proud of scientific knowledge and the progress of material civilization. The word gramya karmana indicates activities meant only for the improvement of bodily comforts. Presently, all human society is engaged in improving economic conditions and bodily comforts. People are not interested in knowing what is going to happen after death, nor do they believe in the transmigration of the soul. When one scientifically studies the evolutionary theory, one can understand that human life is a junction where one may take the path of promotion or degradation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 9:25, yanti deva vrata devan, pitrin yanti vrati vrata, bhutani yanti bhuteja, yanti madhyajinopimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. In this life, we have to prepare ourselves for promotion to the next life. Those who are in the mode of Rajaguna are generally interested in being promoted to the heavenly planets. Some, unknowingly, are graded to lower animal forms. Those in the mode of goodness can engage in devotional service, and after that, they can return home, back to Godhead. Yanti madhyajino pimam. That is the real purpose of human life. This Krishna consciousness movement is trying to bring intelligent human beings to the platform of devotional service. Instead of wasting time trying to attain a better position in material life, one should simply endeavor to return home, back to Godhead. Then all problems will be solved. As stated in the Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.2.17, Shinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Ridyantakstoya Badrani Vidunoti Surit Sitam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. One simply has to follow the regulated principles, act like a Brahmana, chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad-Bhagavatam. There you have it. We made it. We're already there. In this way, one purifies himself of the baser material modes, tamogun and rajaguna, and becoming freed from the greed of these modes, one can attain complete peace of mind. In this way, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and one's relationship with Him, and thus be promoted to the highest perfection, siddhim paramam gata. Text 32. Just as a monkey jumps from one tree to another, the conditioned soul jumps from one body to another. As the monkey is ultimately captured by the hunter and is unable to get out of captivity, the conditioned soul, being captivated by momentary sex pleasure, becomes attached to different types of bodies and is encaged in family life. Family life affords the conditioned soul a festival of momentary sex pleasure, and thus he is completely unable to get out of the material clutches. Purport. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 11.9.29, Vishayak kalu sarvatak syat. Bodily necessities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, are all very easily available in any form of life. I'll read that again, just in case you didn't get it the first time. Bodily necessities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, are all very easily available in any form of life. It is stated here that the Vanara, monkey, is very much attracted to sex. Each monkey keeps at least 24 wives and jumps from one tree to another to capture the female monkeys. Thus he immediately engaged in sexual intercourse. In this way, the monkey's business is to jump from one tree to another and enjoy sex with his wives. The conditioned soul is doing the same thing, transmigrating from one body to another and engaging in sex. He thus completely forgets how to become free from the clutches of material engagement. Sometimes the monkey is captured by a hunter who sells its body to doctors so that its glands can be removed for the benefit of another monkey. All this is going on in the name of economic development and improved sex life. Text 33. Translation. In this material world, when the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and does not care for Krishna consciousness, he simply engages in different types of mischievous and sinful activities. He is then subjected to the threefold miseries, and out of fear of the elephant of death, he falls into the darkness found in a mountain cave. Purport. Everyone is afraid of death, and however strong a materialistic person may be, when there is disease and old age, one must certainly accept death's notice. The conditioned soul becomes very morose to receive notice of death. His fear is compared to the fear experienced upon entering a dark mountain cave, and death is compared to a great elephant. Text 34. The conditioned soul suffers many miserable bodily conditions, such as being affected by severe cold and strong winds. He also suffers due to the activities of other living beings and due to natural disturbances. When he is unable to counteract them and has to remain in a miserable condition, he naturally becomes very morose because he wants to enjoy material facilities. Text 35. Sometimes conditioned souls exchange money, but in due course of time, enmity arises because of cheating. Although there may be a tiny profit, the conditioned souls cease to be friends and become enemies. Purport. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 5.5.8, Pungsastriya mituni bhavame tam tayor mito hridaya grantam ahu ato griyak chetra sutaptavataya janasya moho yamaham mameti. The monkey-like conditioned soul first becomes attached to sex, and when intercourse actually takes place, he becomes more attached. He then requires some material comforts: apartment, house, food, friends, wealth, and so on. In order to acquire these things, he has to cheat others, and this creates enmity, even among the most intimate friends. Sometimes this enmity is created between the conditioned soul and the father or spiritual master. Unless one is firmly fixed in the regulated principles, one may perform mischievous acts, even if one is a member of the Krishna consciousness movement. Everybody's starting this. We therefore advise our disciples to strictly follow the regulated principles. Otherwise, the most important movement for the upliftment of humanity will be hampered due to dissension among its members. This is so important. I'm going to read this again. This is going on. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Unless one is firmly fixed in the regulated principles, one may perform mischievous acts, even if one is a member of the Krishna consciousness movement. We therefore advise our disciples to strictly follow the regulated principles. Otherwise, the most important movement for the upliftment of humanity will be hampered due to dissension among its members. Those who are serious about pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement should remember this and strictly follow the regulated principles so that their minds will not be disturbed. Text 36. Sometimes, having no money, the conditioned soul does not get sufficient accommodations. Sometimes he doesn't even have a place to sit, nor does he have the other necessities. In other words, he falls into scarcity, and at that time, when he is unable to secure the necessities by fair means, he decides to seize the property of others unfairly. When he cannot get the things he wants, he simply receives insults from others and thus becomes very morose. Purport. It is said that necessity knows no law. It is said that necessity knows no what?
Law.
Thank you. Just checking. When the conditioned soul needs money to acquire life's bare necessities, he adopts any means. He begs, borrows, or steals. Instead of receiving these things, he is insulted and chastised. Unless one is very well organized, one cannot accumulate riches by unfair means. She's well organized. I know that. I've heard from a lot of people. Your mother, well organized. Yes. I've heard from many people. Hare Krishna, John.
Hare Krishna.
So nice to see you.
Nice to be here.
Must be a relief, huh? We were just reading about it. Unless one is very well organized, one cannot accumulate riches by unfair means. Even if one acquires riches by unfair means, he cannot avoid punishment and insult from the government or the general populace. There are many instances of important peoples embezzling money, getting caught, and being put in prison, like our whole cabinet. Oh, what? One may be able to avoid the punishment of prison, but one cannot avoid the punishment of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who works through the agency of material nature. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 7:14. Daivi yesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. Nature is very cruel. She does not excuse anyone. When people do not care for nature, they commit all kinds of sinful activities, and consequently, they have to suffer. Text 37. Although people may be enemies, in order to fulfill their desires again and again, they sometimes get married with a nuptial agreement. Oh, excuse me. That wasn't in the text. That was my edit. Sorry. Unfortunately, these marriages do not last very long, and the people involved are separated again by divorce or other means. Purport. As stated previously, every conditioned soul has the propensity to cheat, even in marriage. Everywhere in this material world, one conditioned soul is envious of another. For the time being, people may remain friends, but eventually they become enemies again and fight over money. Sometimes they marry and then separate by divorce or other means. On the whole, unity is never permanent. Due to the cheating propensity, both parties always remain envious. Even in Krishna consciousness, separation and enmity take place due to the prominence of material propensities. Yes, got to give up those material propensities, kids. Text 38. Prabhupada is amazing, isn't he?
Yes.
It's like he's talking to everybody at the same time, individually. It's like Krishna, you know. Krishna can be with every single person in the spiritual world, and everybody thinks it's just with him or her. Yeah, he can do that. And Prabhupada's showing us how that's possible right now, in plain sight. Text 38. The path of this material world is full of material miseries, and various troubles disturb the conditioned soul. Sometimes he loses, and sometimes he gains. In either case, the path is full of danger. Sometimes the conditioned soul is separated from his father by death or other circumstances. Leaving him aside, he gradually becomes attached to others, such as his children. In this way, the conditioned soul is sometimes illusioned and afraid. Sometimes he cries loudly out of fear. Sometimes he is happy, maintaining his family. And sometimes he is overjoyed and sings melodiously. In this way, he becomes entangled and forgets his separation from the Supreme Personality of Godhead since time immemorial. Thus he traverses the dangerous path of material existence, and on this path he is not at all happy. Those who are self-realized simply take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in order to get out of this dangerous material existence. Without accepting the devotional path, one cannot get out of the clutches of material existence. The conclusion is that no one can be happy in material life. One must take to Krishna consciousness. Here's our marching orders from Prabhupada. Direct. Purport, Jad Bharat. By thoroughly analyzing the materialistic way of life, any sane man can understand that there is not the least happiness in this world. However, due to continuing on the path of danger from time immemorial and not associating with saintly persons, the conditioned soul under illusion wants to enjoy this material world. Material energy sometimes gives him a chance at so-called happiness, but the conditioned soul is perpetually being punished by material nature. It is therefore said, Danya Jane Raja Inanandita Chubaya. Materialistic life means continuous unhappiness, but sometimes we accept happiness as it appears between the gaps. Sometimes a condemned person is submerged in water and hauled out. Actually, all of this is meant for punishment, but he feels a little comfort when he is taken out of the water. It's called waterboarding, right? This is the situation with the conditioned soul. All the Shastras therefore advise that one associate with devotees and saintly people. Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koi, Lavamatra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Even by a little association with devotees, the conditioned soul can get out of this miserable material condition. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to give everyone a chance to associate with saintly people. Therefore, all the members of this Krishna consciousness society must themselves be perfect sadhus in order to give a chance to fallen conditioned souls. This is the best humanitarian work. Did a saintly person just go by?
Yep.
Oh. Missed my chance. I'm going to read this again, just in case anybody missed it. Therefore, all the members of this Krishna consciousness movement, society, must themselves be perfect sadhus in order to give a chance to fallen conditioned souls. This is the best humanitarian work. Text 39. Saintly persons who are friends to all living entities have a peaceful consciousness. Oh my God, he's going away again. My best friend, and I can't even see him, you know. It's like our schedules are like this, you know. Well, I don't have a schedule, but anyway, we're like, oh, Krishna. Being unfortunate and attached to the miserable condition, material conditions, a materialistic person cannot associate with them. Purport. The great saint Jad Bharat described both the miserable condition and the means to get out. The only way out of it is in association with devotees, and this association is very easy. Although unfortunate people also get this opportunity, due to their great misfortune, they cannot take shelter of pure devotees, and consequently, they continuously suffer. Nonetheless, this Krishna consciousness movement insists that everyone take to this path by adopting the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The preachers of Krishna consciousness go from door to door to inform people how they can be relieved from the miserable conditions of material life. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Krishna Prasadi Hoy Bhakti Lata Bij. By the mercy of Krishna and Guru, one can get the seed of devotional service. If one is a little intelligent, he can cultivate Krishna consciousness and be freed from the miserable conditions of material life. Text 40. There were many great saintly kings who were very expert in performing sacrificial rituals and very competent in conquering other kingdoms. Yet despite their power, they could not attain the loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is because those great kings could not even conquer the false consciousness of I am this body and this is my property. Thus they simply created enmity with rival kings, fought with them, and died without having discharged life's real mission. Did you hear that Notre Dame burned down practically? And you know what it says? Fire, accident by fire, means illicit sex. The Catholic Church is rife with scandal right now. And now at Notre Dame, poof. This is no joke. That's exactly why.
The cross in the main hall is still intact.
Yeah, no, the structure is okay. They saved a lot of artifacts and everything. That still doesn't mean it wasn't traumatic. Very traumatic. Purport, 900 years. Probably took a couple hundred probably to build it also. Yeah. The real mission of life for the conditioned soul is to re-establish the forgotten relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead and engage in devotional service so that he may revive Krishna consciousness after giving up the body. One doesn't have to give up his occupation as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra, or whatever. In any position, while discharging his prescribed duty, one can develop Krishna consciousness simply by associating with devotees who are representatives of Krishna and who can teach this science. Regretfully, the big politicians and leaders in the material world simply create enmity and are not interested in spiritual advancement. Material advancement may be very pleasing to an ordinary man, but ultimately he is defeated because he identifies himself with the material body and considers everything related to it to be his property. This is ignorance. Actually, nothing belongs to him, not even the body. By one's karma, one gets a particular body, and if he does not utilize his body to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all his activities are frustrated. The real purpose of life is stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1:2-13. Atak Bhumbir Dvija Shreshta Varnashrama Vibhagashaha Sanushtitasya Dharmasya Sangsidir Haritoshanam. It really doesn't matter what activity a man engages in. If he can simply satisfy the Supreme Lord, his life is successful. Text 41. When the conditioned soul accepts the shelter of the creeper of fruitive activity, he may be elevated by his pious activities to higher planetary systems and thus gain liberation from hellish conditions. But unfortunately, he cannot remain there. After reaping the results of his pious activities, he has to return to the lower planetary systems. In this way, he perpetually goes up and comes down. Purport. In this regard, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Brahmanda Brahmite Koni Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Poy Bhakti Lata Bij. Even if one wanders for millions of years, from the time of creation until the time of annihilation, one cannot get free from the path of material existence unless one receives shelter at the lotus feet of a pure devotee. As a monkey takes shelter of the branch of a banyan tree and thinks he is enjoying, the conditioned soul, not knowing the real interest of his life, takes shelter of the path of karmakanda, fruitive activities. Sometimes he is elevated to the heavenly planets by such activities, and sometimes he again descends to earth. This is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Brahmanda Brahmite. However, if by Krishna's grace one is fortunate enough to come under the shelter of the Guru, by the mercy of Krishna, he receives lessons on how to execute devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In this way, he receives a clue of how to get out of his continuous struggle up and down within the material world. Therefore, the Vedic injunction is that one should approach a spiritual master. The Vedas declare, Tad Vijnanartam Sagarum Ebabhigachtet. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita 4:34, the Supreme Personality of Godhead advises, Tadvidi panipatena pariprashnena sevaya upatekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tatpadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. Srimad-Bhagavatam 11.3.21 gives similar advice. Tasmat gurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreyata uttamam shabde pare shanishnatam brahmanyu upashamashrayam. Any person who seriously desires to achieve real happiness must seek out a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of his spiritual master is that he must have realized the conclusion of the scriptures by deliberation and be able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, are to be considered as bona fide spiritual masters. Similarly, Vishwanath Chakrabarti, a great Vaishnava, also advises, Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaha. By the mercy of the spiritual master, one receives the mercy of Krishna. This is the same advice given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru Krishna Prasadi Poi, Bhakti Lata Bij. This is essential. One must come to Krishna consciousness, and therefore one must take shelter of a pure devotee. Thus one can become free from the clutches of matter. Text 42. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Having summarized the teachings of Jad Bharat, Shukadev Goswami said, My dear King Parikshit, the path indicated by Jad Bharat is like the path followed by Garuda, the carrier of the Lord. And ordinary kings are just like flies. Flies cannot follow the path of Garuda, and to date, none of the great kings and victorious leaders could follow this path of devotional service, not even mentally. Purport. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatatam apisiddhanam kaschin mam veti tatpataha. Out of many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. The path of devotional service is very difficult, even for great kings who have conquered many enemies. Although these kings were victorious on the battlefield, they could not conquer the bodily conception. There are many big leaders, yogis, swamis, and so-called incarnations who were very much addicted to mental speculation and who advertise themselves as perfect personalities, but they are not ultimately successful. The path of devotional service is undoubtedly very difficult to follow, but it becomes very easy if the candidate actually wants to follow the path of the Mahajans. In this age, there is the path of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared to deliver all fallen souls. This path is so simple and easy that everyone can take to it by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gatiranyata. We are very satisfied that this path is being opened by this Krishna consciousness movement, because so many European and American boys and girls are taking this philosophy seriously and gradually attaining perfection. That's what this is all about. Trying to follow Prabhupada's instruction. Hare Krishna. Text 43. While in the prime of life, the great Maharaj Bharat gave up everything because he was so fond of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Uttama Shloka. He gave up his beautiful wife, nice children, great friends, and an enormous empire. Although these things were very difficult to give up, Maharaj Bharat was so exalted that he gave them up just as one gives up stool after evacuating. Such was the greatness of his majesty. Purport. The name of God is Krishna, because he is so attractive that for his sake the pure devotee can give up anything within this material world, even if very, very dear. Maharaj Bharat was an ideal king, instructor, and emperor of the world. He possessed all the opulences of the material world, but Krishna is so attractive that he attracted Maharaj Bharat from all his material possessions. Yet somehow or other, the king became affectionate to a little deer and, falling from his position, had to accept the body of a deer in his next life. Due to Krishna's great mercy upon him, he could not forget his position and he could understand how he had fallen. Therefore, in the next life, as Jad Bharat, Maharaj Bharat was careful not to spoil his energy, and therefore he presented himself as a deaf and dumb person. In this way, he could concentrate on his devotional service. We have to learn from this great King Bharat how to become cautious in cultivating Krishna consciousness. A little inattention will retard our devotional service for the time being. Yet any service rendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is never lost. Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Bhagavad Gita 2:40. A little devotional service rendered sincerely is a permanent asset. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.5.17, Tyaktva sudharmam charanam bhajam harer bhajan apakvo tapatet tato yadi yatra kova bradam amushkim kovarta apto bhajatam sudharmataha. Somehow or other, if one is attracted to Krishna, whatever he does in devotional service is a permanent asset. Even if one falls down to immaturity or bad association, his devotional assets are never lost. There are many examples of this: Ajamil, Maharaj Bharat, and many others. This Krishna consciousness movement is giving everyone a chance to engage in devotional service for at least some time. A little service will give one an impetus to advance and thus make one's life successful. Hey, look, a pure devotee just came in the room just at the time that we were hearing about it. Spreading the Krishna consciousness movement by cooking and doing other exalted services. Haribol Kalpataru, Hare Krishna. Being everybody's mother. In this verse, the Lord is described as Uttama Shloka. Uttama means the best, and Shloka means reputation. Lord Krishna is full in 6 opulences, one of which is reputation. Aishwarasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashayak Sriyak. Vishnu Purana 6.5.74. Krishna's reputation is still expanding. We are spreading the glories of Krishna by pushing forward this Krishna consciousness movement. Krishna's reputation, 5,000 years after the Battle of Kurukshetra, is still expanding throughout the world. Every important individual within this world must have heard of Krishna, especially at the present moment. due to the Krishna consciousness movement. Even people who do not like us and want to suppress the movement are also somehow or other chanting Hare Krishna. Those Krishnas, those Hare Krishnas. They say the Hare Krishna movement should be chastised. Such foolish people do not realize the true value of this movement, but the mere fact that they want to criticize it gives them a chance to chant Hare Krishna, and this is its success. When he was in Chicago, and he gave one interview that was a really controversial one. So this one, newspaper article came out, and it was just a scathing criticism, and everything, him and everything. And it was full of Krishna's name. So Prabhupada looked at it and he read it, and then he went like this. This is a very nice article. This person is chanting Hare Krishna a lot, like more than most. This other article that was favorable, he said this one's a better one because it's got Krishna's name all through it. The intelligence of the pure devotee. Text 44. Shukadeva Goswami continued, My dear king, the activities of Bharat Maharaj are wonderful. He gave up everything difficult for others to give up. He gave up his kingdom, his wife, and his family. His opulence was so great that even the demigods envied it. Yet he gave it up. It was quite befitting a great personality like him to be a great devotee. He could renounce everything because he was so attracted to the beauty, opulence, reputation, knowledge, strength, and renunciation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Krishna is so attractive that one can give up all desirable things for his sake. Indeed, even liberation is considered insignificant for those whose minds are attracted to the loving service of the Lord. Purport. This verse confirms Krishna's all-attractiveness. Maharaj Bharat was so attracted to Krishna that he gave up all his material possessions. Generally, materialistic people are attracted to such possessions. Ato grihak chetra sutapta bitayar janasya moho yamaham mameti. Bhagavatam 5:5-8. One becomes attracted to his body, home, property, children, relatives, and wealth. In this way, one increases life's illusions and thinks in terms of I and mine. The attraction for material things is certainly due to illusion. There is no value in attraction to material things, for the conditioned soul is diverted by them. One's life is successful if he is absorbed in the attraction of Krishna's strength, beauty, and pastimes, as described in the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. The Mayavadis are attracted to merging into the existence of the Lord, but Krishna is more attractive than the desire to merge. The word abhava means not to take birth again in this material world. A devotee does not care whether he is going to be reborn or not. He is simply satisfied with the Lord's service in any condition. That is real mukti. Ihayasya harer dasye karmana manasagira nikila swapavastasu jivan mukta sa uchate. One who acts to serve Krishna with his body, mind, intelligence, and words is a liberated person, even within this material world. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187. A person who always desires to serve Krishna is interested in ways to convince people that there is a Supreme Personality of Godhead and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Krishna. That is his ambition. It doesn't matter whether he is in heaven or in hell. This is called Uttamashloka Lalasa. Text 45. Even though in the body of a deer, Maharaj Bharat did not forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, when he was giving up the body of a deer, he loudly uttered the following prayer. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is sacrifice personified. He gives up the results of ritualistic activity. He is the protector of religious systems, the personification of mystic yoga, the source of all knowledge, the controller of the entire creation, and the supersoul in every living entity. He is beautiful and attractive. I am quitting this body, offering obeisances unto him, and hoping that I may perpetually engage in his transcendental loving service. Not a bad prayer for a deer. Uttering this, Maharaj Bharat left his body. Purport. The entire Vedas are meant for the understanding of karma, jnana, and yoga, fruitive activity, speculative knowledge, and mystic yoga. Whatever way of spiritual realization we accept, the ultimate goal is Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The living entities are eternally connected with him via devotional service. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam, Ante Narayana Smritihi, Bhagavatam 2.16, the perfection of life is to remember Narayana at the time of death. Although Bharat Maharaj had to accept the body of a deer, he could remember Narayana at the time of death. Consequently, he took birth as a perfect devotee in a Brahmana family. This confirms the statement of Bhagavad Gita 6.41, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Brashto Pijayate. One who falls from the path of self-realization takes birth in a family of Brahmanas or wealthy aristocrats. Although Maharaj Bharat appeared in the royal family, he became neglectful and took birth as a deer. Because he was very cautious within his deer body, he took birth in a Brahmana family as Jad Bharat. During this lifetime, he remained perfectly Krishna conscious and preached the gospel of Krishna consciousness directly, beginning with his instructions to Maharaj Rahugana. In this regard, the word Yogaya is very significant. The purpose of Ashtanga Yoga, as stated by Madhvacharya, is to link or connect with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The goal is not to display some material perfections. Okay, one more. Text 46. Devotees interested in hearing and chanting Shravanam Kirtanam regularly discuss the pure characteristics of Bharat Maharaj and praise his activities. If one submissively hears and chants about the all-auspicious Maharaj Bharat, one's lifespan and material opulences certainly increase. One can become very famous and easily attain promotion to the heavenly planets or attain liberation by merging into the existence of the Lord. Whatever one desires can be attained simply by hearing, chanting, and glorifying the activities of Maharaj Bharat. In this way, one can fulfill all his material desires, material and spiritual desires. One does not have to ask anyone else for these things, for simply by studying the life of Maharaj Bharat, one can attain all desirable things. Purport. The forest of material existence is summarized in this 14th chapter. The word bhavatavi refers to the path of material existence. The merchant is the living entity who comes to the forest of material existence to try to make money for sense gratification. The six plunderers are the senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, touch, and mind. The bad leader is diverted intelligence. Intelligence is meant for Krishna consciousness, but due to material existence, we divert all our intelligence to achieve material facilities. Everything belongs to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But due to our perverted mind and senses, we plunder the property of the Lord and engage in satisfying our own senses. The jackals and tigers in the forest are our family members, and the herbs and creepers are our material desires. The mountain cave is our happy home, and the creepers are our material desires. The mountain cave is our happy home, and the mosquitoes and serpents are our enemies. The rats, beasts, and vultures are different types of thieves who take away our possessions, and the Gandharvapur is the phantasmagoria of the body and home. The will-o'-the-wisp is our attraction for gold and its color, and material residence and wealth are the ingredients for our material enjoyment. The whirlwind is our attraction for our wife, and the dust storm is our blinding passion experienced during sex. The demigods control the different directions, and the cricket's noises are the harsh words spoken by our enemy during our absence. The owl is the person who directly insults us, and the impious trees are impious men. The waterless river represents atheists who give us trouble in this world and the next, and the blazing forest fire is family life. The meat-eating demons are the government officials. The many ritualistic duties of household life constitute a whole hill one must cross, and the pricking thorns on that hill are the impediments of material life. Sleep is a python. For the little taste experienced during sex, one desires to enjoy another's wife, and then, like one who goes to take honey from a beehive and is attacked by the bees, he is chastised by the woman's guardians, like the husband, father-in-law, mother-in-law, and so forth. The creeper is one's wife, the lion is imminent death, and the herons, crows, and vultures are so-called demigods and pseudo-swamis, yogis, and incarnations who are all too insignificant to save one from the lion's attack. The swans are the perfect brahmanas, and the monkeys are the extravagant shudras engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. The trees of the monkeys are our households, and the elephant is ultimate death. Thus, all the constituents of material existence are described in this chapter. Srila Prabhupada ki. What a purport. He just summarized 3 chapters in one purport. Amazing. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 14th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled The Material World as a Great Forest of Enjoyment. How encouraging to enjoy hearing about this mess. Okay, we'll end our reading for the night. We come to our open mic time. Yes. Go ahead, Hannah.
Okay, I have a question. So we read today that Prabhupada said that devotees go door to door and preach Krishna consciousness. Now, yesterday, during Jayapataka Swami's Vyasa Puja, we were hearing about how one time he was in an airport and a man attacked him and slit his throat.
Madrid airport.
Now, no one would ever, I've never heard of anyone attacking, Mormons like that or Jehovah's Witnesses like that. So, what is when Prabhupada says devotees go door to door, is he speaking in the future? Like, is he talking about...
He's talking about past, present, and future. Devotees always go door to door airport to airport, parking lot to parking lot, shop to shop, etc., etc. Huh?
Traffic lights to
Traffic light to traffic light.
Santa Claus looking fantastic.
I used to be in Santa Claus, Fifth Ave. Yeah, I saw Jackie Kennedy one time. I went running up to her and I said, "Jackie," and it was far out. She gave a donation too. Anyway, that's the business of the devotees, and therefore it says that they're very dear to Krishna, Lord Chaitanya. Those who risk their lives. And it may not seem like we're risking our life going to everywhere, but every once in a while something like that happens. Jesus Christ, he was going donkey to donkey, or whatever he was riding on, and whatever going, place to place, mountain to mountain, on the, Sermon on the Mount. Everywhere, the devotees preach, everywhere, wherever they go. Apple store to Apple store. You meet a lot of nice young people when you're at the Apple store. I was thinking about going Apple store to Apple store, distributing books. It's a little complicated. The nature of devotees, they do these things, and sometimes, we can't travel like that anymore, so we sit down in one place and just preach to whoever we can. But we don't stop preaching. Yeah, no, to address the question of why the devotees are not the Mormons and this and that, so first, that's not true. Sometimes the Mormons and other religious sects go to places like China and Russia and other places, and they get severely chastised also. But the fact is that when you're preaching like this, so direct and strong and uncompromising, then of course you're going to get more negative response than, and Prabhupada told us that's the test of your preaching, whether it's actually strong, if it's actually proper. You'll get pushback from the rascals and demons and atheists who want to stop it. And then what did Jesus say? Forgive them, Lord, they don't know what they're doing. Because he knew he wasn't his body. So to our capacity, not that we can imitate, the great souls like that, but to our capacity, we should continually preach Krishna consciousness from wherever we are, in whatever, to whatever degree we can, even if it's just in our family, even if it's just in our neighborhood, even if it's the whole world, whatever. Our boys on the team. And then you're safe. I remember when we used to do the Chicago airport, 1974, and it was heavy then because there were a lot of people who were like antagonistic. A lot of nice people too, but a lot of people antagonistic. And I remember when we used to ride to the airport, we used to read Chaitanya Charitamrita. We got to the airport, we'd take all our books, put them in the they have those, what do you call this? Where you put lockers, yeah, in the lockers, yeah, and then we go up in between in United or American, in between the airport, the columns of elevators, right in between that space. That was our spot, and I'll never forget it. It was a lot of trouble to get there, a lot of trouble to organize it. When you put your foot there, it was like you were in the safest place in the world. It was an amazing experience, amazing sensation to be in such a situation that could be so dangerous, but you felt it's like you're the safest place you could be, because you knew that you were doing something that Prabhupada wanted done. And I feel like that when I'm doing this reading every night. Since I made a vow and I'm keeping it for this long, it's every time I sit down and start to speak, it's like, this is it. Let me not go anywhere else and do anything else. He's not an ordinary person. He had that happened, that stroke, and he's still going on. He's still going. It's amazing.
We have a question from cyberspace.
A question from cyberspace. It's about time.
Rasa Rasika Das here from South America.
Rasa Risika from South America.
Hi,
Krishna consciousness is spreading all over the world. There's a Rasa Risika in South America.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. All glories to your steady and valuable service. In regards to our connection to the Guru Parampara via our spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, if our Guru has problems and renounces his position as initiating spiritual master, the disciples are advised to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's Shiksha guidance. If a disciple has taken shelter in this way but does not seek formal reinitiation, is he or she still connected through to the parampara through seriously following Srila Prabhupada's Shiksha? Does it make a difference if the former Diksha Guru is a devotee in good standing?
If the Diksha Guru was in good standing when he gave you initiation, then there's no absolute need to take reinitiation. You are connected to the parampara because you received the holy name. The connection is not mechanical. It's not a mechanical, material connection. It's the connection of the reception of the holy name that has come down from mouth to ear, mouth to ear, mouth to ear, from Lord Chaitanya to us. But if a person's heart is disturbed enough and they feel the need, they can take reinitiation. But it's not an absolute necessity. And you can take a shelter of a Shiksha Guru. Of course, Prabhupada's books. Of course, Srila Prabhupada's Shiksha. But you also need to have Shiksha with devotees, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Can you answer? Is that okay? Do you want more, or is that all right? What I just said.
He hasn't responded yet, but we have another question.
Okay, shoot.
You want to guess who it's from?
Rati Manjari.
Ding, ding, ding.
Give that boy a Cupid doll.
Dear Srila Guru Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisances. Tonight and many nights we heard about so-called swamis and incarnations that cannot save one. There are still so many so-called gurus and cheaters preaching about so-called spiritual life. I know that this world contains cheaters because many people want to be cheated, but still they also bewilder many innocent persons. My question to you is, should we preach actively against them, calling them out to their bogus philosophies, or ignore them, or...
Prabhupada never, except in very rare occasions, criticized another spiritual so-called person, even if they're cheaters. But he did call out their philosophies. Sometimes it'd be asking a question, what about Guru Maharaji? And he said, I don't know about him. What's his philosophy? And then they'd tell him the philosophy, and then he would slice it to pieces. That's safe. Then you don't have to worry about making an offense, but you can tell the truth. We don't become safe, we don't become elevated by not telling the truth, by avoiding the truth. We don't become fixed and clear and safe. And therefore our minds, the purpose of our following the regulative principles and taking this process seriously is so that our minds become not so agitated so that we can hear. When we hear these words, especially from Prabhupada's books, but anyone who's repeating them or explaining them properly without deviation, then the capacity to taste it depends on our ability to hear. And our ability to hear depends on how peaceful our mind is. And the peacefulness of our mind depends on how strictly we are following the regulative principles and chanting our rounds. And even when we chant our rounds, the ability to hear the name and experience the fact that the name is Krishna, that depends on our ability to hear the name. But even if you can't, keep on hearing the name. Nama parada yukta nam nama meva agamagam. Anyway, it means that the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is for offenders also. Because if they keep chanting, then the name will gradually purify them. It may take longer time if you keep making offenses, but if you keep chanting and don't stop chanting, even if you're offensive, eventually you'll become pure by association with the holy name of Krishna.
Rasa Rasika says, thank you for the clarification. It is our great fortune that there are very qualified Shiksha Gurus in our society.
Hare Krishna.
And Rati said, about her question, should we actively study them to find out their philosophy? I want to defeat them, but I'm afraid to get contaminated or irritated.
Then don't. We need to know ourselves, we need to know what our capacity is, and if you feel like that, I want to, but I'm afraid of getting contaminated, then you shouldn't. You don't need to. There's so many innocent people out there to preach to. So many nice people, and especially you, Rati. You're going out there and chanting, and every day you meet somebody. She sends me these messages through the Skype chat, all these things that she's doing, and sends me photos, and it's so nice to watch her go out, even by herself, into the middle of a city and just chant the Lord's name, and every once in a while she'll meet somebody, and then they'll come back to the temple, and even come over to flat sometime and chant. And it's perfection. Don't think you have to be like Shukadev Goswami in order to go back to Godhead. Whoever you are, wherever you are, just do this. Just chant the holy name. Keep yourself pure by following the regulative principles and chanting the names. Read Prabhupada's books. And if you can't remember, that's okay. I can't remember either. Just while you're reading them, go deep. And while you're reading them, you're in samadhi. It's very clear. If you're just hearing and you don't have anything else going on in your mind, and you're just trying to read it nicely, then you're in samadhi. And even if you can't remember afterwards, keep on reading. If you don't have time, only a little bit of time, read during that time. Chant during that time. And in this way you'll gradually go back to Godhead. Guaranteed. Hare Krishna. What else from the assembled sages? Okay, it's 7:50. I gotta get up at 2. We did 41 pages today. Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. And Shweta Dweep is our new recorder, and he's doing great. Very pleasure to work with. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your hearts and your ears and everything. Thank you for everyone out in cyberspace, especially when you ask questions. It's very elevating and enlivening for all of us here in the live studios. So, Jai. Srimad Bharat ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samveda Bhakti ki jai. Kort Premanandi. See you tomorrow night, same station, same time, 6:30, right here in Radha Lane. Hare Krishna.